Hello, church family. Welcome to today's Sunday school lesson. We are in session 11 entitled Covenant Relationship. And our key idea this week is that believers find God's blessings through obedience. And we're in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 1 through 6, and then skipping to verse 15 and reading 15 through 19. We're going to start off by asking the question, what wise messages did your parents repeat to you over and over again? And what impact did hearing those words have on you and have in your life? For me, I remember my dad often and consistently saying things like can't, never, could. I remember the thing I got in trouble for most as a child was saying that I can't do something, because that is in my dad's words, was a quitter's mindset. And so I would say, I can't do this, Dad. And he'd go, you can't? And I'd go, I don't know how to do this, Dad. Come tell me how to do this. Come teach me how to do this. Or he would say, figure it out on your own. You're a smart kid. You can do it. You're capable. And so that in my life has instilled a practice of trying to do things first before saying I can't do them. And if I truly don't know how to do something and can't figure it out on my own, then to ask for help, but not to just give up and say I can't do this thing. That is what led me to really want to learn the guitar, because I was just being completely transparent. I was good at school. I was good in my classes. I had really good grades through school and in college. And the thing that I did not do as well as everything else was music. And so when I took an interest in playing the guitar, there were things that I wanted to learn to play that I could not play at first, and that can't quit, or that lack of a quitter attitude that my dad instilled in me is what made me become a somewhat capable guitarist. I try to learn things. I try to listen to things and learn how to play it. I try not to study the sheet music too much. I try to put my own feel to something, put my own spin on things, make it more like Chris can play it. That's absolutely, there's something to be said for being able to play a solo like Freebird note for note. I can't do that. That's not something I've learned to do. It's something I think I could do, but it's not something I have learned yet. And so, but I have always valued learning a song and making it my own, especially in what I do for my job, for leading worship, for making a song that is maybe not note for note correct with the recording, but is valuable for Emory Baptist Church or wherever I'm leading worship at. So we are looking at just the reiteration of this idea that blessings come through obedience, that God blesses those who are obedient and God does not bless disobedience. And so we're going to see that today. We're going to look at there in chapter 28, this conditional blessing idea that there is this word if you faithfully obey, then you will be blessed. So let's begin reading there in chapter 28, verses 1 through 6 and verses 15 through 19. Now, if you faithfully obey the Lord your God and are careful to follow all his commands I'm giving you today, the Lord your God will put you far above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come and overtake you because you obey the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. Your offspring will be blessed, and your land's produce, and the offspring of your livestock, including the young of your herds and the newborn of your flocks. Your basket and kneading bowl will be blessed. You will be blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. Then verse 15, but if you do not obey the Lord your God by carefully following all his commands and statutes that I am giving you today, all these curses will come and overtake you. You will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. Notice the reciprocal nature of this, or the flip-flopped nature of this, the parallel but opposite nature, where they would be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. Well, now they will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. Your basket kneading bowl will be cursed. Your offspring will be cursed, and your land's produce, the young of your herds, the newborn of your flocks, you will be cursed when you come in and when you go out. With your coming and your going, with your arriving and your leaving, you will be cursed in these things. So let's look at the first section, which is all about faithfulness and obedience, being obedient and faithful in your obedience. Verse 1. Now, this is referring to today. This is Moses kind of wrapping up everything he has said. He said, now let's do this. Now, if you faithfully obey, you've heard the law, now obey it. If you faithfully obey the Lord, this if in that phrase, it indicates that this was not an automatic blessing, that this was indeed conditional on Israel's obedience, not just automatically given because of their favor with the Lord, but it is conditional. The Lord's love for Israel is not conditional. He does love Israel unconditionally, but that does not mean that he will bless Israel unconditionally. There are strings attached to the blessings. You must be obedient, the Lord says. So if you are the Lord your God, and if you faithfully obey the Lord your God and are careful to follow all his commands I'm giving you today, the Lord your God will put you far above. He will exalt you above the rest of the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come and overtake you. You will be so blessed that you will be overwhelmed by the blessing. That word can also be translated as accompany. The Hebrew suggests a pursuit or chase. It could also relate to reaching a goal. God's blessings always find God's people when they remain faithful to him. This is that picture of an unrelenting Savior, an unrelenting Creator who is after and pursuing those who are faithful to him. No matter where you would run, no matter where you would go, the blessings, if you're faithful, would be there and following you. You will be blessed in the city and then in the country. Your offspring will be blessed, and your land's produce, and the offspring of your livestock, including the young of your herds and the newborn of your flocks. Your basket and kneading bowl will be blessed. You'll have more bread than you know what to do with. You will be blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. So what do these verses say about the faithfulness of God toward his people? Well, if they are faithful to obey, he will be faithful to bless. And how would these promises encourage God's people to remain faithful to him? Well, if they want blessings, then they need to be obedient. That it's very straightforward. It is, you obey, you will be blessed. You obey, life will be easy. You obey, I will be beside you. And you will partake in the blessing and my favor. So how do these promised blessings differ from the prosperity theology that is commonly taught and preached today? This doesn't say that they will be rich beyond compare. This doesn't say that they will be that they will have an overabundance or an overwhelming amount of money or wealth or gold or jewels or cars or jet planes. This differs because this is saying that you will never go hungry. You will never go without. You will never want. So it's a difference because prosperity is more indicative of wealth and gain and greed, whereas these blessings are more so that your every need is satisfied, so you don't need an overabundance of money because you will always be prepared for. In our capitalist society, we almost don't understand that, but you have to understand that at the very base level, Israel had some capitalism. Of course, there were sellers and traders and carts that would sell things. And this is not at all, Brother Chris, saying that capitalism is evil or wrong or anti-biblical or anything like that. I'm just simply saying that the governmental economic system of Israel is different than late stage capitalism in America. And so this is saying that the nation of Israel will not be poor and destitute and starving and hungry. They will be without need, that they will be blessed, and they won't need an overabounding amount of money or gold or riches. And And so, because of that, they will be blessed. They'll be taken care of. They don't have to worry about where their next meal is. You have to think about this time. If you starve for, it's not like you're missing 3 meals. It's more like you're missing a week of meals. Like you eat once a week, maybe twice a week if you're lucky, if you're starving. We think of starving as missing a full day's worth of meals. Well, that's really not that much food in the grand scheme of things. If you think about how many calories a day we consume, especially in the West, especially in developed America, I mean, we're eating. It's really interesting. Grace and I were at a doctor's appointment for the baby a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about calorie deficits and things like that. And, should Grace change her diet now that the baby's getting bigger? And the doctor said, in America, it's really easy for parents, for mothers only, to develop gestational diabetes because there's an overabundance of sugar in our diets. And so the body generates more insulin or lack thereof because it's preparing itself for a long time of famine or a lot more strain on the body's nutritional needs because of the baby, when that's not necessary in America because we have an overabundance of food. But in developing parts of the world, the the baby takes so much out of the mother that the mother's body overcompensates, and that's what kind of causes gestational diabetes. And so in America is that there's too much insulin or too much sugar, however that works. And so we think of this balance that we have to have in our diet and in her diet, and we really have more than we could ever need, even when we feel like we don't know where the next meal is coming from. In America, there's a lot of families who are starving, hungry, but they're still considered wealthy compared to a lot of the rest of the world, where they are only eating once a week or maybe twice a week compared to the nutritional meals that we get every day. Um, so it's different from a from the prosperity gospel because God's not promising wealth beyond measure. God's not promising this idea of an overabundance, but rather complete provision for the nation of Israel. And then that brings us to our second section, which is the opposite of that first section. This is about disobedience. So choosing to disregard God's commands leads to humiliation and to curses. Let's read there in verse 15. But if you do not obey the Lord your God by carefully following all his commands and statutes I am giving you today, all these curses will come and overtake you. So notice that you see there in verse 15 that other half of the conditional statement, if you do not obey. So this is referring to curses that are not inevitable. You can avoid them. They are not just constantly chasing you down. You can avoid them by your obedience. They are conditional, but if the people chose to obey, they would face the consequences. And what are those consequences? These curses that are to follow, an expression of ill will often taking form of God's wrath. Here, the curses for disobedience parallel those blessings that we read earlier in this chapter. There in verse 16, you will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. Your basket and kneading bowl will be cursed. Your offspring will be cursed. Your land's produce, the young of your herds, and the newborn of your flocks. You will be cursed when you come into your home and cursed when you go on a journey. So what do these curses say about God's nature and character? That he is fair and just, because if you are obedient, he will bless you, and if you are disobedient, he will curse you. And that is a very clear, I wish that I could be so clear in some of the things that I do and say that I wish that life was that clear now, and it is just not. There are times where people of God are obedient, and yet they suffer hit after hit after hit, just like Job suffered hit after hit after hit at the hands of Satan because of the testing of his faith. And so he was obedient to the Lord. He was a righteous man by all accounts, and yet he still suffered at the hand of Satan because of all this. And that's true today for the believer. That's something that still happens. God here is promising that not that the hits won't come, but that he will be with them and that he will provide for them through those hits and trials and things like that. But what he's promising here in 15 through 19 is that if you disobey, there will be no protection. If you disobey, there will be no blessing. He's very clear. He's very just. He makes it very plain. Do A, get blessing. Do B, get curses rather than blessings. So keep that in mind today. I think this is true for the believer. And again, this is one of those lessons that we have just talked about over and over and over and over again, because it is so true and because it is so necessary, that God always blesses obedience and never blesses disobedience. And so even when we see those around us who we believe are being disobedient still prosper and still gain and still live, even, we can go, well, where's the justice? Well, the justice isn't for us. And so we need to be obedient so that we can continue to gain blessings, because we know that if you are a believer in Christ, that God will never leave you nor forsake you, that trials only serve to increase your patience or your steadfastness or your perseverance, and that perseverance has to run its course so that you may be perfect and complete in everything that you do. And so, and lacking in nothing. And so by facing these trials and being obedient and being blessed, you can face every day with joy, because you know that God is with you, because you know that he will sustain you. Psalm 55:22 says, cast your cares on the Lord, for he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous fall. James 1:2-5, like I said just a second ago, says, consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you face trials of many kinds. 1 Peter 5:6, 7, and 8, I believe, says, cast your cares on the Lord because he cares about you, and he listens to you, and he wants to accomplish good in your life. And so I believe I'm going to double check that very quickly. Excuse me. I want to make sure that I'm not misquoting something. 1 Peter 5:6-8. Yeah. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, so that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxiety or cares on him, because he cares for you. Be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. So that 1 Peter 5:7 says, cast your cares on the Lord, for he cares about you. And so if we're faithful to do those things, God is faithful to bless us and protect us, and to make sure that we will get through whatever life throws at us. So thank you for being with me today. I look forward to worshiping with you very soon. Bye-bye.